investor Carl Icahn has built up more than $1 billion stake in Apple Incorporation over the last month. He believes Apple shares are extremely undervalued and is pushing for a bigger stock buyback. Mr. Icahn recently took to Twitter saying he had a nice conversation with Apple CEO Tim Cook and that they plan to converse again in the near future. Apple responded by saying, "We appreciate the interest and investment of all our shareholders." However, there were no mention of larger buybacks just yet. Mr. Icahn says Apple has huge borrowing power, little relative debt, and trades at a low multiple. If Apple does this now and earnings increase at only 10%, the stock, even keeping the same multiple currently, should trade at $700 a share. Apple shares remain below the record high of $702.10 seen in September 2012. However, the news from the billionaire activist boosted Apple's stock 5.8% higher to $494.66 at 3:37 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the highest price since January 23rd this year. Mr. Icahn is the second billionaire activist to zone in on Apple this year. Greenlight Capital's hedge fund manager David Einhorn holds approximately 2.4 million Apple shares and urged the company to return more cash to shareholders earlier this year. Apple bought back $16 billion from investors last quarter and planned to return $100 billion to shareholders by the end of 2015. Brian Colello, an analyst at Morningstar, believes it's a heavyweight investor who can maybe accelerate the buyback program, and it helps the positive momentum that Apple has seen. After a tough year for Apple, shareholders' biggest concern is whether the company has lost its innovative edge. Michael Obuchowski, an investor with North Shore Asset Management, says, "We are coming into the usual Apple product refresh cycle and there will be rising excitement." The newest iPhone is set to debut on September 10th, and following that, an updated selection of iPads. There is also talk of a new TV or smartwatch product which would be worn on the wrist. Apple CEO did say there will be products in new categories, but didn't give any details away. Well, that wraps up today's press review. Join us again for tomorrow's press review with my colleague Monica Gibson. Until then, there are plenty of interviews and analysis to keep you up to date right here on Dúchascopy TV.